Welcome to this episode of the story. Subscribe as soon as possible. Chapter 5. The Silver Blue Collapse. The Sowing of the Olympian Star Chart. On the ruins of the Acropolis of Athens, the church's bronze colossus was filling in the last crack of the star chart. Cassandra was hanging upside down from the broken pillar of the Parthenon. Through her hanging hair, she saw the priest using a golden knife to cut open her chest, not to take out her internal organs, but to dig out the heart that throbbed with the memories of Atlantis. Do you think sowing the star chart will allow you to rule humanity forever? Her voice, mixed with blood foam, echoed under the temple dome. The people of Atlantis will be like the tides. As the church's high priest turned around, the silver-white robe swept across the memory runes on the ground. The incantations written in Atlantean immediately glowed with a faint blue light. Cassandra, do you think those mobs incited by you can break through the memory furnaces? Look at your brother. A young man emerged from the shadows with the same amber-colored pupils as hers, but the warmth in those eyes was gone. He wore the church's gear emblem on his chest and gently stroked the shackles on her wrist. Sister, the star chart device needs 12 pure consciousnesses as anchor points. Your rebellious appearance really reminds me of the time when you taught me to read the Odyssey when we were kids. Cassandra felt a wave of dizziness. The memories of her brother suddenly became blurred, as if someone had poured a layer of mercury into her consciousness. She then realized that since the Trojan War, every coincidental escape route and every coincidentally betraying ally were the memory nets already woven by the church. The high priest placed the heart in the groove at the center of the star chart device. 12 beams of light suddenly lit up. Cassandra's vision was forcibly drawn to the sky. She saw the Acropolis of Athens transforming. The columns of the Parthenon turned into the 12 spokes of the star chart, and the broken arm of the statue of Athena pointed towards the positions of the 12 constellations of the zodiac. And her heart was becoming the axis of this huge gear. The bloodline of the Queen of Atlantis should have been used to breed the perfect memory container. The high priest's voice seemed to come from afar, yet it also roared directly in her mind. Unfortunately, your father had to use the Forbidden's cloning technology. Now, let your consciousness become the patch of the star chart. The excruciating pain spread from her heart to every nerve. Cassandra felt like 12 hands were tearing at her memories. Fragments of her childhood chasing butterflies in the palace garden, the nights designing the resonance device with Hephaestus in the workshop, and even the first raindrop that fell on her cheek when Troy was breached, were all forcefully stripped away and sealed into 12 memory cages respectively. When the last memory of her mother was pulled out, she let out a near bestial roar, filled with unwillingness and despair. Under the resonance of the star chart device, the roar turned into a tangible sound wave, shattering all the bronze candelabras in the temple. Look, one of the priests exclaimed, pointing at the ground. Cassandra's blood seeped into the ground along the cracks of the stone pillar. Blue flowers actually bloomed on the originally charred land, and the petals flowed with a luster similar to that of the memory fluid. The high priest's face changed drastically. He knew this was a sign of the Fountain Memory, unique to the Atlantean royal family. Once formed, it would become a permanent energy source for the rebels. Seal off the Acropolis. Start the star chart sowing procedure. His order was drowned out by the intense vibrations. The star chart device started to operate. Cassandra's consciousness was cut into 12 streams of light, which were respectively injected into the golden cage of Aries, the emerald labyrinth of Taurus, ... When the last stream of light disappeared into the teardrop-shaped crystal of Pisces, she heard the high priest whispering to the starry sky, "Now, the memories of humanity will forever run along the track we set." The silver-blue star chart unfolded over Athens, covering the real starry sky. Cassandra's perspective switched continuously among the 12 cages. In the Aries cage, the flames of Troy were burning. In the Taurus cage, there were piles of the painful memories of the Atlantean citizens. In the Gemini cage, two identical figures were stabbing each other. They were clones created by the church to test memory compatibility. In the Cancer cage, she suddenly felt a familiar fluctuation. It was the pendant that her mother had stuffed into her palm before her death. At this moment, it was lying in the crevice under the Acropolis, absorbing the memory energy from her blood. The Atlantean inscriptions inside the pendant gradually lit up. Croc, not gift, but curse. It turned out that her mother had long known that what the church needed was not her obedience, but the power in her body that could pry the star chart. Do you think this is the end? Her consciousness echoed among the cages, with a burning sense of blood and fire in her voice. Every drop of blood that seeps into the Earth's crust will be your death warrant. The high priest wanted to refute, but found that blue patterns had somehow climbed onto the gears of the star chart device. These were the traces of the fountain of memory spreading underground. When the last stitch was completed, Cassandra's consciousness completely sank into darkness. But before that, she saw countless pairs of eyes opening under the foundation of the Acropolis. They were the Athenian citizens whose memories had been tampered with by the church. The real starry sky was reflected in their pupils, and her blood was awakening these sleeping rebels. The silver blue star chart covered the entire Aegean Sea. Beneath its seemingly flawless surface, 12 almost invisible cracks were slowly spreading. These were the fragments of Cassandra's consciousness and the last spark of Atlantis. In the next 1,000 years, these cracks would become the blades to pierce through the church's lies, and the fountain of memory under the Acropolis of Athens would eventually converge into a huge wave that could destroy the star chart. This episode ends here. The next episode will be even more exciting. Come and subscribe.